This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, my cat-loving friends. We have a special treat for you.
Oh, we do.
If you, like us, have a little affinity for those really big cats and would give your right arm to work with them and spend a little bit of time with them, our guest has all that going on. We are so jealous. We are going to welcome Jeanna Hensler from the Wildcast Sanctuary and talk to her about those big cats and how they relate to our little cats as soon as we get back from this break from our sponsored ad.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back. I am your co-host, Linda Hall, here with my BFF, Rita Reimer.
I'm here with my co-pilot. He's sleeping now, Dexter, so you can't see him.
Your mini panther.
My mini panther, yes.
I have a feeling she'll laugh at us about that being a panther, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we want to talk about those real big cats, not the ones that
Yeah, we do. So welcome, Jeanna.
Thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting.
Oh, thank you for coming on. We have looked through your social media and seen all these photos and videos of them transporting these huge animals to do routine care. I wanted to jump through the screen and join you.
I love those big cats. I wish I could handle one, but I know that's not ever going to happen. That's not practical.
For sure. Yeah, we're not going to make those into house cats.
Tell us about the Wildcast Sanctuary.
Yes, my first question, you told us your mission. Tell everybody your mission. That was amazing.
Yes. So the mission at the Wildcast Sanctuary is to provide a natural sanctuary to wildcats in need and inspire change to end the captive wildlife crisis. So our goal really is to take care of the cats that need help right now in captivity and have no chance of being released at all, but also work on systems and policies and behavior change in humans so that no more cats are born in captivity into this, cycle of abuse that they're subject to.
Yes, we work with these behavior things, and we often find that, it's the humans that need the education on why cats do the things they do. We've been so strict in saying, no, your cat did not pee on your bed out of spite. Your cat is not spiteful. So I'm assuming, because we look at our cats, and that's part of our mission, we look at our cats as the natural wild beings that they are. They're not like dogs. We didn't domesticate them, right? So I'm assuming that there's a lot of similarities with the big cats.
I think probably a lot of similarities in stories that we hear from owners that are looking to surrender. The way we operate is we work with private owners who would like to make the best decision for their animals and surrender them to a sanctuary. But we also work with authorities that go into bad situations and seize animals. In the cases of private owners who have, kind of come to the realization that maybe it wasn't a good idea to have a bobcat in the house or a baby tiger, or even the little hybrids, the Bengal hybrids or the Savannah hybrids. The number of stories that we hear of cats that don't use the litter box, that are too vocal, that are displaying all of those natural behaviors because they have those wild genes. At least once a week, we get a call from somebody that needs that help. And it's kind of the same thing that you guys probably say too. Like, well, when you welcomed a wild animal into your house, the behaviors come with it. And it's up to us to adjust or make a better decision for that animal.
I know here in the Carolinas, there was a big story about a woman who had a serval as a pet, and it was really against city ordinance. And she fought really hard, and she was able to keep the serval only because she had to prove that she was, giving it the proper care. But that's not a pet that everybody should run out and get.
Right. No. And the patchwork of laws across the country is really challenging to understand. There's state laws, there's some federal laws, there's county laws, there's local jurisdictions. It's really difficult to kind of sort through all those laws. And truly, in the end, for the animal, it's best for them to be wild in the wild, not try to adapt to a home environment.
Well, I can't imagine how they would. I mean, our house cats, we can build up, we always, if you're short on horizontal space, go vertical. They're great for apartments, but we're talking about how big is a grown tiger, for example?
So the cats that come to Sanctuary are cats, and I kind of hate to bring it up, but a lot of people have a picture in their head of what this means. So the cats that come to Sanctuary are typically cats that are bred in backyards like Joe Exotics, right? So it's somebody with their own private collection, menagerie, and they're making the breeding decisions. They're not veterinarians, they're not conservationists, they're not scientists. So what that means is the cats in Sanctuary are all over the place. Daisy is probably our smallest tiger, maybe just under 300 pounds or so, and she's our smallest, right? Versus Logan, who's our big boy, and he's probably 525.
Those paws can hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just kind of shows you like how much they vary in those kinds of settings versus AZA accredited zoo that does have veterinarians and scientists and conservations being very particular and selective about breeding because they're trying to preserve genetics. So the zoo population versus the sanctuary population is wildly different. Wildly, no pun intended, but
yeah, I was going to ask
different.
How they do in zoos. They really should all be in sanctuaries because I noticed that you don't allow visitors, which is great. And of course, zoos have people visiting the animals all the time.
Yep. And it's, two just very different environments. I've never worked at a zoo, so I can't speak too much to their particular practices. But for us, again, they're coming from these very traumatic situations and exposed to a lot more than, what a zoo animal would be exposed to. So bad living conditions, poor diet, maybe no veterinary care, plus the bad breeding practices on top of it. There's just so much that we have to heal before that cat just gets to neutral versus a cat that's been bred in an AZA zoo that has care and healthy food and a veterinary, very different.
Yes. I have to admit, I love zoos and because I love seeing them and getting close, but I do always feel a little bit sad for these animals.
I don't like zoos. I hate them.
It's a pull back and forth. And what we usually say is the accredited zoos are not the problem, right? It's the Joe Exotic type zoos that are the problem. And those are the places where, we as consumers get a choice where we spend our money. We could go to an accredited zoo and pay the fee there and know that, yes, your money actually is going for conservation. Or, go to Joe Exotic's place and just keep feeding the bad guy money. So I think it's been proven that our dollar definitely has power. This is how the circus closed down not too long ago. So you can definitely make it happen as an individual.
We see, you're talking about the abuse and things, that's 90% of our behavior clients probably are cats that have been in and out of shelters, have been in and out of homes. We had one Friday, we had 2 hurricane kitties in the same day. We thought that was bizarre. One named Florence was rescued from Hurricane Florence, and the other one was named Hurricane. I don't know what hurricane, but it's these situations and this trauma, right? Abuse, we see abuse. Hoarders. We had a client, but the cat was rescued from a hoarding situation.
And sometimes, Linda, it's unintentional abuse. Just not providing the right environment is a form of abuse.
Yeah, and I think that's what we see much more often with the exotic animals. When we say abuse, sometimes we think of like literally hitting, physically hitting the animals. And sure, we've definitely seen that, but way more common is the neglect. So they don't have adequate housing. They don't have access to vet care. They don't have a good source of food, that kind of thing. So in the exotic animal world, at least, it's that neglect that plays a bigger part rather than the, hitting, that kind of abuse. But, that still happens too.
Well, think about this. Could you call your vet, Linda, and say,
My
hey,
tiger has a tummy ache.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What
Hey,
do you
Dr.
do?
Glenn, I have a tiger. Can I bring him in? No.
Well, here's what I'm thinking, Rita. We've both commented that our Chewy bills are more than our house payments every month.
True.
Okay, what's it cost to feed a big cat?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Oh, yeah. So the average cost to care for a cat that's already with us is about $10,000 a year. And that's for food, vet care, that kind of thing. The year, when we rescue them, the costs are much higher because we have transportation costs, intake exam. We might have to modify a habitat to accommodate for age or physical challenge, that kind of thing. So generally what we say is the first year we have a cat is about $20,000, and then subsequent years are about $10,000 a year if nothing goes wrong.
You rely totally on donations, don't you?
Yes, we are a nonprofit organization, and it's all private donations for us. We get some grants from private foundations, but we don't get any government funding at all. And we are close to the public. So as a fundraiser, that is a unique challenge because I'm asking people to donate money for cats they'll never meet at a sanctuary they'll never get to go to. And so that's where social media has really allowed us to reach out and touch our donors and our supporters every single day.
I think it was a tiger or a lion that they were moving to do some medical. And I was just, first of all, the size of this thing. And then, they're moving him around. And I'm like, what if he wakes up? I mean, I was having a panic attack on the other side of the screen.
Right. So we've really integrated live posts and photography and videos every single day because our donors can't come to us. So we got to go to them. We got to serve it up to them. And, if social media wasn't a thing, I don't know if we'd be as successful as we are today. So
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for that.
How do you control the breeding so you guys don't get overpopulated?
Right. So as a rescue, we don't breed any of our residents. So they are either spayed or neutered. If a spay can't happen for some reason, we can do implants with those females. Otherwise, if they're too compromised to go under sedation for surgery, it's probably they just live alone. So yeah, that we've never had an accidental birth. We don't ever intend to. We have, all of our habitats are full, and we can, there's always ones on the waiting list ready to come in. So we don't want to contribute to that at all.
Do you work in tandem with any other sanctuaries? Like I know,
Yeah.
There's one in California that Tippi Hedren has.
Funny you should mention that. Tippi is actually Tammy's mentor, Tammy, our executive director. When she first got into this, Tippi Hedren was the one who helped steer her in that direction. So we're very thankful for that. I know, very cool.
Oh, that is very cool.
And if you don't know who Tippi Hedren is, it is Melanie Griffin's mother. And if you don't know who Melanie Griffith is, it's Dakota Johnson's grandmother. That's how I've learned to introduce her.
I think you've hit all the generations.
Depending on the generation.
X, Y, Z. Yeah, exactly. I think you've hit everybody. I'm like, who wouldn't know who Tippi Hedren was? And then when you said, if you don't know who Melanie Griffith was, I was like, excuse me?
I know, Linda, you forget. We're kind of old now.
Depends on who you're talking to.
Rita and I met working for Richard Simmons, and so many of our clients have no clue who Richard Simmons is.
Oh,
like, how do you not know who Richard Simmons is? Like,
and then they're like, oh yeah, my grandmother used to use sweating to the oldies. Thanks, kid. Thanks. Linda, you were going to ask something when I interrupted
why,
you.
I'm sure I know the answer, but for everybody, why do you not allow visitors?
Yeah, so we are close to the public for tours. We like to say we're a sanctuary for the cats, not a zoo for people. So it's really set up for the cats and for them to live as close to wild as possible. There wouldn't be any tours in, the jungles or the African plains or anything like that. So it's been really important for us to deliver that to the cats since our original promise to them. And it's worked okay for us over the years. People have always questioned it and thought maybe we should start opening for tours, and we were sticking to our guns. And honestly, when COVID came around and everything had to shut down, our day-to-day didn't necessarily change because we didn't lose tour, revenue or any of that. We didn't have to lay off staff or any of that. So that was a blessing in disguise for us. But I think it also helped connect a lot more people to our sanctuary because a lot more people were online, a lot more people were on social media. We started doing online parties for people where they could tune into a live post and we'd have a pool party with Dash the tiger cub. It's been an unusual couple of years for sure, but we've gotten creative with how we can stay connected.
Oh, such great ideas. And I hate that we have to take a quick break, but we'll be back in just a few minutes after this word from our awesome sponsor.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. cattreetray.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
And we're back with 19 Cats and Counting and Jeanna Hensler with Wildcast Sanctuary. How did you get involved with this endeavor?
So I started as a volunteer back in 2007. At the time I was working, or just before that, I was working at a companion animal shelter and had moved on to a different career that allowed me to get my weekends back. And so through my work with companion animal shelter, I had learned about the Wildcat Sanctuary. And as soon as I had my Saturdays back, I signed up to volunteer and did that until about 2016 when the sanctuary was ready to hire a volunteer coordinator, event planner, fundraiser type position. And that just happened to line up with my desire to move out of the field I was in. And that was in 2016, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
That's awesome. To do a position, work in something that you love, that's also something beneficial to the animals. That's just the best feeling in the world. Linda and I consider ourselves very lucky. And I'm sure you do too. Do you get to ever handle any of the animals or see them up close?
No handling of the wild animals at all. We are considered a no-contact facility.
Okay.
We do also house small hybrid cats, such as Bengals and Savannahs. Some of them that we rescue are friendly and use litter boxes, so there are office cats. A lot of them that we rescue don't use litter boxes and are not friendly, and so they live in outside habitats. So the ones in the office, obviously, I get to pet and love on. Any of the wild cats outside, we're generally hands off with them. Obviously, if they're under sedation and in for a vet procedure, that's a different situation.
Imagine skipping those litter boxes.
I know. We complain about our litter boxes. Good luck. Good luck. I can't even imagine what a tiger or lion produces. But, accidentally, I was trying to trap a cat, and I accidentally trapped a feral cat.
A Tasmanian devil.
The Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
The panic. I mean, this was a kitten, probably about 6 months. I was scared. I mean, I didn't even know how to let it out, and we talked about, somebody asked once, if you had a feral cat and a stray cat, which one would you bring in the house? And I said, the stray. The feral, we're the boogeyman, right?
They don't want anything to do with us if they're truly feral.
Yes.
No.
I'm not saying it can't be done. I actually have a cat that I adopted that was what we called semi-feral. She'll never be my lap cat, and I'm certainly glad because they don't have very long life expectancies outside. But the general nature of them, they're wild cats, right? So by touching and having these interactions with the cats, like these roadside little zoos do, we're messing with them, right? We're screwing them up, right? We're going against everything that's natural.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest, part for us is that, yes, these cats have to live behind fences for, reasons that we can't change. But how can we make those habitats aligned with their natural behaviors? And petting a bobcat is not natural, trying to cuddle a serval is not natural. So any of that stuff that wouldn't be in nature that we can control, we're going to remove that and then give them the things that we can. So, for bobcats, that is climbing behavior. Bobcats love to climb trees. So we have trees in all of our habitats for those cats to climb, but we have to put a roof on top to keep them safe. So it's trying to find that balance of what is best for the cat, but still what's going to be safe for humans, and making those decisions, which sometimes they're really, really hard, especially when it comes to medical procedures. So kidney disease, right? Everybody who has a cat knows about kidney disease and renal failure. You can give sub-Q fluids to your cat at home, no matter how crabby they are. But, to do that to a wild-born cougar.
Oh boy. No. I have a hard time.
You're not signing up for that?
Yeah. No. And the answer
can you burrito
is no.
them? I don't know. You got to pick them up blanket. You can burrito. Try to think of everything we do to make needle beds go down, and I'm thinking nothing. No.
Right. And so all of that stuff is off the table. So then what? Then what's best for the cat? And those decisions can be very, very hard. But, when those cats are released from this earth and they're, they pass on, or that we help them move on, there's some joy in that because now they're finally free. They're finally free.
I know you mentioned that you have some smaller cats in your office, Bengals, Savannahs. How did they end up in your sanctuary, and why don't they really make a great house pet?
We get them, the Bengals and Savannahs. We've had some other small hybrids like Chauceys, which is a jungle cat mixed with a domestic cat. We've had a Safari, which is a Joffrey's cat mixed with a domestic cat. But Bengals and Savannahs are definitely the most. And like I said, we probably get calls once a week on those cats.
Wow. They're gorgeous.
Mostly. Oh, sure. They're beautiful. And some of them that we have, like I have just never seen cats like that before. But generally, the owner is talking to us about not using a litter box, being way too vocal, marking with scratching behavior throughout the house, not wanting to be a lap cat. All of the qualities of a wild cat is kind of what the complaint is. And we can't take all of them, and we don't want to rescue all of them. If people have Bengals and Savannahs in their home and they're committed owners, and those cats are living a happy, healthy life with access to vet care and food, great. Please keep them happy, but please don't get another one, especially from a breeder. Adopt if you can, and the ones that can't be adopted out, or the ones that are actually illegal to own, some of the generations are illegal to own, those are the ones that, that's why we're here. We have our little hybrid haven area of the sanctuary, and that's where those cats can live. And it's kind of a miniature version of a tiger habitat. They have a little building that's temperature controlled. It's attached to a free roaming outdoor habitat with Bengal-sized perches instead of tiger-sized perches, and Bengal-sized pools instead of tiger-sized pools, but very much the same. And what we found is some of those cats that were surrendered because they were so aggressive and mean totally turn over. And I just think of Andre, the Savannah. He is one of the first to run up to the front of the habitat and say hi now. And, he was surrendered because he was so aggressive, the vet techs couldn't even touch him.
Well, he's in the right environment now, so that completely changes their personality.
Totally changes everything. Yep.
Usually our behavior sessions are a little more complicated. They have different parts, but there have been moments where we're like, there's one thing you need to do, right? Move the litter box out from the window, or don't plug your diffusers in by that, whatever. There's like one thing that's like, no, you're doing that. And so it's all human error with everything we see. And I assume cats are cats, and they've got to be cats, and you can't pull them out. We always tell people, if your cat ran and hid under the bed, don't pull them out. They need a moment to decompress. It's all about respecting them. We always say about walking a mile in their paws, respecting them and what's natural for them. So I can't imagine, as much as I adore a fluffy little lion cub, tiger cub, whatever, I can't imagine trying to bring that in my house and meet the needs.
You turn into dinner. And even our house cats, they're so genetically close to their ancestors. They're relatively unchanged, unlike dogs who, their genetics are totally different and they've been bred differently. These guys are really, miniature versions of those wild kitties.
You see a lot of the same behaviors. Yep. A lot of the same medical things. All that stuff is similar, but not the same.
Right. Yes. Little differences, I'm sure. But I get why somebody wants to bring something little in. But I remember, this was probably 10, 20 years ago, there was a lady who had somebody in the 8 family gorilla, something. And she loved it. And they had this amazing relationship and they slept together and yada, yada. And it was all lovely. And then he got upset about something and ripped her face off. She was one of the first face transplants.
Oh yeah.
And that's,
England, I think.
It was, yes. You know the one I'm talking about. And that's what I think of with these big cats, because we know even our little cats can turn and get over anxious and give us a little nip.
A little nip. Sometimes you can end up in the ER from a cat bite.
Yeah. Imagine the teeth on a big cat giving that little nip or the scratch or saying, get out of my face, or getting the zoomies at night and running over the bed. That could kill a human, right? I can't imagine.
And, you see stories regularly in the news and headlines pop up regularly in the news where, someone's been attacked or killed. And, 99% of the time it is human error. Somebody left the latch open or somebody.
Look what happened with Siegfried and Roy.
Right? Same thing.
Love the animals, gave them all the attention, but you just cannot make a wildcat. Even my semi-feral Karma, who's a Maine Coon mix, doesn't get any more domestic than that. Yeah, she's not going to sit on my lap and love me, and I can't force her to do anything. I mean, I can get attention once in a while, but it's a very slow approach. It's completely on her terms. She will never be a house cat. I mean, she will live with us and be happy, thank you God, but she will never be what someone wants to adopt, right? Most people would not appreciate, I just scoop their litter and feed them. So, her nature is her nature, and the nature of a big cat.
That's why I've never been a fan of the circus, because their cats aren't in a natural environment.
Not at all.
You never know when they're going to turn. Like I said, Siegfried and Roy is one example. You have any former circus cats in your care?
Not any of the traditional circus cats. The roadside zoos that do circus type entertainment, sure. But that was Joe Exotic too. The circus cats are usually not owned by the circus that's exhibiting them.
Oh, that's interesting.
And there's some, there's, kind of like zoos and sanctuaries, zoos and sanctuaries. Like some of the zoos are accredited and some of the zoos are roadside zoos. Some of these circuses are networked nationally and some are just kind of traveling from county fair to county fair, that kind of thing. So
what kind of life is that for a cat?
Right. I would say the circuses are probably some of the worst conditions for the cats, especially if they're traveling. And there is some federal legislation on the table for Congress to consider when it comes to traveling exotic animals, but I'm not exactly sure where that is in the process. I don't think it's passed any votes yet.
Bottom line is, it's not a good idea.
Right.
We know our house cats hate change. We joke that a perfect cat's life, nobody goes in, nobody goes out. We never move. Don't get a new sofa, heaven forbid, which is not reasonable, but we use that to try to limit the change. Big cats, I would assume, are the same way.
Yep. And it kind of depends on, what their background was. So we have 3 brothers who live together called the Tiger Trio. And they were from a cub breeding operation in Colorado that shut down in, I think it was 2016. So they were bred, they were pulled from their mothers probably within 24 hours, hand reared, and then passed around, constantly. So they're kind of in the situation like, oh, everything changes all the time. Okay, no problem. So they're pretty easygoing and don't mind change too much. However, Daisy the tiger, very different. If she gets a new toy in her habitat, It's a very slow approach. There's a lot of hissing. She'll swat and bat at it before she gets used to it. So sometimes we'll smear it with a little tuna or perfume with musk scent or something like that to make it more attractive. And that's really, you know, the caretaker's jobs. When you know, we have a professional caretaking staff on site, and it's their job to figure this all out for each cat and then customize how we take care of them, how we feed them, how we set up their habitats, how we introduce them to new toys, whether they move habitats or not, that kind of a thing. So their background definitely determines a lot of what their behavior will be like with us, but that's not very unlike domestic cats or dogs.
True. Yes, exactly. Yes. We do you know their history? Like, when did you adopt? Or I got them from the animal shelter. Do you know their history? Is the first
Usually
question,
they
because
don't.
it really, and usually they don't. Yes. A lot of times the owners surrender and lie and say that they are strays, so they don't have to pay the fee, and it puts us at a huge disadvantage. Then we just have to guess and try to figure out what the triggers are.
I'd rather have them keep the fees and at least give you the information.
That's why
you know?
I don't want to pay. I'll tell you, Jeanna, when you mentioned that about pulling the cubs away when they're less than 24 hours old, that's when I had to stop watching Joe Exotic. And like I mentioned off camera, the only reason I started watching it in the first place is because I was getting questions. But this is just my personal opinion. I'm glad he's in jail.
Yeah, yeah. You're not alone. You're not alone.
Well, he's hurting living beings, and we've seen with our cats, you know, they grieve, they love, they bond, they, you know, they have happy, they have sad, they all of it, and to use them as a commodity, right? It's just, yeah. Are any of your animals ever able to be rehabilitated and sent back out to the wild, or are they always too far gone?
Once they come to the sanctuary, that is their home for life. So none of the exotic species would ever be able to be rehabbed and released from this country into another country. But we do care for wild-born orphans as well. A lot of states, there is laws against rehabbing and releasing apex predators. So bobcats and cougars, also known as mountain lions, pumas, those guys are generally found, when they're found orphaned in the wild, they need a home. And that could be an AZA zoo, or it could be an accredited sanctuary. So we have quite a few wild-born bobcats and cougars, and they will not be released because the wildlife and rehab world has deemed that they are not eligible. So they've come to us.
Well, yeah. One of the situations we often have a problem with are bottle-fed cat, which, I mean, please rescue the cat. Do it. You know, Rita got a couple pairs that were found, a pair that were found 3 weeks old in a ditch. So of course these cats need some extra help. However, they don't know how to cat. None of these cats know how to cat. They don't know when the other cat hisses at them that they should back off. They don't speak the language. They don't know how to be a cat. So I can only, when you were talking about, you know, taking them from their mothers within 24 hours, and hand feeding them, you just crippled them. You just screwed them for life, right? Like, it's not a good thing in a home, but it's better than death, but they're going to be house cats.
Well, that thing too is then they're not afraid of humans anymore. If you put them out into the wild, and they may approach a human that will kill them.
Right. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's a big challenge, I think, in a situation like a breeder and dealer, like we saw in Tiger King. Those cubs have been pulled away. So they're not learning from their mom, but generally they're together, and they might learn from each other, or they might make up their own language with each other, that kind of thing. We were challenged about 1.5 years ago. We were on a rescue. We got called to Indiana to rescue 2 tigers and 2 lions. The owner had passed away. The family reached out for help. We packed up the car and went to go. And as we were pulling in, the female tiger gave birth. And, you know, it was a breeding facility. And so Winona, the tiger who's still with us, she had been giving birth over the course of the past years, but they'd been pulling the cubs. So she'd never raised a cub.
She'd never been a mom.
Nope. And we were right in the middle of the rescue, and it was time to load them up and put them in the car. So we literally had a tiger cub that was about 3 hours old, maybe about 3 pounds. And it was the November of 2020. So COVID was in full, full on blast. It was pre-vaccines, and big cats can contract COVID. So what do you do?
What do
you do? So our executive director quarantined herself and this little tiger cub, now known as Dash, and they just kind of stayed away from all other humans, all other cats, tried to prevent any kind of infection at all. And she did have to bottle raise him. And it was a massive challenge. Dash is, what would that make him, about 1.5 years old now, something like that. And I would say he talks his own language. I am not sure that he would be able to merge with another tiger.
I'm sure not.
Tiger.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
He's imprinted on humans, so.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. And yet we can't make them into house cats, no matter what you do, just like the ape. But we also can take away some of their natural instincts and their natural abilities. I'm dying for that mother. I've given birth 3 times.
Yeah.
Did she suffer serious depression? Like, I'm going to cry at the thought of somebody taking my baby away 24 hours later. That's got me really messed up. This
is where I look at these animals in complete awe. Winona is one of the happiest tigers. She loves playing with her barrels. Aww. She bounces around and, plays at the fence. And I just, you look at a cat that's been through what she's been through, and she has every right to be mad. And she's not. She forgave it all. And I think that there's a big credit to our caretakers who helped her get there. But she, Winona
she knows she's safe. She knows she's safe.
Yeah, she knows she's safe, and she's made the choice. So
we're running out of time, so this will have to be the last question.
You have
Linda.
to come back. Okay, so I assume had they left the cubs with her, her natural instincts would have kicked in, and she would have nursed them. However, when they're taken away, she has learned.
Yeah.
She never learned how to mom. So
right. Yeah. And we were getting ready to load them all up in a trailer and drive them from Indiana to Minnesota. So those logistics wouldn't have worked either. It was one of the biggest challenges we've ever had as a nonprofit. And we pulled through, and Dash is a happy young boy right now, and Winona is a happy girl.
That's why you're there, and that's exactly why these sanctuaries exist. As we wrap up, can you tell everybody how they can help you, Jeanna? How can they support the sanctuary?
Yeah. Well, like I said, social media is our biggest way of reaching out and touching our donors. We're most active on Facebook, Wildcast Sanctuary. We have about 3 million people on our Facebook page. We also have a very active TikTok account, about 1.5 million people there.
Oh, awesome.
And really trying to be a voice for education on TikTok, because that's where you see a lot of the people with their servals as pets and things like that. So they're making a good effort there too. And then, of course, our website is wildcatsanctuary.org. And that's a good place to just find profiles of the cats, see what we got going on, that kind of thing. But I would say Facebook definitely for daily live posts, daily photos, daily videos, everything all day long.
We'll post all these links when we
Rita, I'm not going to be able to work today. I'm going to go.
Sorry, we have a full docket today, girl.
You never let me have any fun.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Please come back and share more information about the big cats with our audience. There's so much that we can learn from them, even to care for our little felines in our own homes. We can learn from them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was great to get to know you too. And
thank you so much.
Love talking cats.
As always, Linda, thank you for being my shotgun, my co-host, and my BFF. Jeanna, please do come back, talk some more about Wildcast Sanctuary. We will include all these links when we post the video to YouTube. And of course, I have to thank Mark Winter for giving us this awesome platform on Pet Life Radio. Until next time, everybody, remember, every day is Catterday, not just today. See you next time.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.